Joining us though right now, Dave Morgan, Penfield Township Supervisor, candidate for the 62nd House seat. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning. Great to be here.
Nice to see you again. And last time it was primary season, and you didn't have a primary challenger. So now the big deal is the fall election, the November election. That's the main one where you'll be running for that House seat, the 62nd, against Jim Haadsma, the Democratic challenger. It's funny, there were some big primaries that really won't be much of a general race, but this is going to be a bona fide race in November between you and Jim.
Yes, I believe it will be. Both sides are fired up. I know we've had a couple Republican events, and they've been just attended very well. Everybody seems to be pretty enthused going into this next election.
You bring a lot to the table that seems to really appeal to a lot of people, just kind of everyday kind of a guy, family man. You've got different things in your background. You're certainly not a career politician. And you're a veteran.
Oh, yeah, I was fortunate to serve, and I'd like to thank all the veterans who are listening today for everything they've done for our country and community, and their families as well. Many of them give so much. When a armed forces member goes overseas, some of their family suffers too, and sometimes we forget about them and their children. And I'd just like to thank each and every one of them for their service. As far as I go, I served in the Michigan Air National Guard, and then I was into the Air Force activated, where I served on President Bush's security force in 1991 and 92. So I was honored to do that, and honored to serve our country.
Well, that's certainly a good thing to have in your repertoire, I guess, when you go in to serve in another capacity. But you also have some kind of unique qualifications. You haven't always been a Republican. And you also are involved in organized labor.
Oh, yes.
And not too many Republicans can say that.
No, that's true. I've been on both sides. I was the chair of the Democratic local party here many years ago, well, a few years ago, and then I decided to switch. And for me, it was kind of like the party left me. I didn't leave the party. I just got tired, and I'm not going to talk bad about anybody, but I don't feel you have to be outraged and resist all the time. And this is nothing new, what we're seeing now. It seemed like every meeting I went to, we had to be upset about something. And I just think we're better off bringing people together and working together to solve problems. There's absolutely wonderful people on both sides of the aisle. I can tell you that. I've been on both sides. So there's so many great families who identify as Democrats and wonderful families that identify as Republicans. As an elected official, we need to get past the partisan politics all the time, bring people together, and when we do that, our community really thrives.
Seems like a lot of people are moving away from that train of thought, though. It's like it's all about ideology and lining up this side or that side. It's almost like a war all the time, and you don't see a lot. And there's been a lot of discussion about this with the passing of John McCain, and we had Joe Schwartz in here, and we talked about it a little bit too. This consensus building and finding what works best for everybody and having a civil discussion. It seems to be falling by the wayside.
It does, and John McCain, actually, I knew out in Arizona, and he sent us a flag back in April wishing us well on this race, and it's at our office, and I was really honored to receive that. He was a wonderful man that did believe in, he was a statesman, and he believed in bringing people together, and there are a few out there, well, many that try to bring people together, and I think that's what we need to focus on, because our children are really listening, and those are the people we're affecting the most. And when we come out and we're always attacking, and there's always outrage, and we're chasing each other around the town, it doesn't do anybody any good. And our kids are listening and hearing everything that we say, and it's up to us to be good examples, leaders, and show them there is a path to bringing people back together.
How long have you been township supervisor at Penfield?
2 years.
And do you think that's going to be great or relevant job experience for going to the State House?
Oh, I think it's been great. We've done a lot of good things out at Penfield. We've deregulated a certain amount of things. We have a great township board, and anybody who's been to our office out in Penfield, our employees are just wonderful. The people that work in the office, and it's been a great experience. I'm a graduate of the Michigan Township Academy, so I did make it through that fairly quick. I took all the classes and learned quite a bit about township governance, and that comes into play because this district does cover many townships, and there are issues that townships face that cities don't. Act 51 is
roads, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Public Act 51 does not fund townships at all. So townships have to kind of work with their counties and figure out a way to do the roads. And some townships seem to have figured it out better than others around here.
Yeah, we've done very well in Penfield. My predecessor, Rob Banke, he started the process with the roads. We've finished it, so all of our local roads are done with the exception of one. We're working with the county now on our primary roads. We've done very well there as well.
Yeah, and other townships are struggling and wrestling with that whole thing. But where do you stand on Public Act 51? Is it the best we can do, or should we be looking at changing it? And if so, how so?
Well, we need to look at it again, and we need to get money down to the township level to help. Emmett's a good example. You know, they've struggled to get their millage passed to help with their roads. It's imperative that we have a good infrastructure. It brings business. If you go out to Penfield and drive around, and no offense to Emmett, but you go into Emmett, there's obviously a difference in the road quality. Shouldn't be like that. Townships should be funded as well as cities to maintain their infrastructure.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking to a guy. He was kind of out there, but he said, you know what? I'm not going to drive in Emmett Township anymore. I'm not doing business there. I don't need to. There's plenty of other places around Battle Creek I can go. You know, I'm just not crossing the line into Emmett anymore.
Yeah, well,
and I thought, well, that's kind of rash, but you know, they are behind and getting their roads together, and they seem to be a lot of infighting and nothing getting done.
Yeah, and I think, once again, that can be fixed in Lansing with the adjustment of Act 51, where townships don't have to beg, borrow, and steal, basically, to try to get funding just to maintain their own infrastructure. So that's something, I'll work with many township supervisors on once I get to Lansing and bring a voice for them up to Lansing. Because right now we don't have too many elected officials that came from townships, and that is a problem.
What's the most important thing on Dave Morgan's list if elected when you get to Lansing? What do you really want to try and focus on that you think Michigan and the 62nd District needs the most?
Well, I'm lucky to be following Kate Siegel. She was a wonderful representative. Dr. John Bison, who's our state representative currently. There's nobody with more integrity or class than Dr. Bison has. And hopefully I'll follow in the same suit that they were leading in as far as our representative in the 62nd. We need to, I'll form an advisory board. So the day you're elected doesn't make you the smartest person, in the 62nd district. So I'd like to form an advisory board and bring leaders from different areas in our community so we can look at the bills as to how they affect our community. I'm one of 110 in Lansing. And here I'm one of one in the 62nd if I'm lucky enough to get elected. So the day I'm elected, we'll start looking at bringing an advisory board together, talk about issues that really are affecting our community and the townships in our district. And we'll do what's right, and we'll do as much as we can to bring resources back from Lansing into our community to help where we can.
Dave Morgan is our guest. Republican candidate for the 62nd House seat. Dr. John Bison currently holds that seat, but he is leaving to run for the state Senate. And so that's created an opening. Dave Morgan is the Republican nominee, and Jim Haadsma will be running against him as a Democrat. And we'll be having Jim in here, I think, end of next week, and have you guys in here as much as we can and kind of get to know where you're at. But one thing that kind of can clue us in on where you're at is, what you're thinking about all these ballot proposals we have. And it seems like there's an awful lot of them, and I'm not hearing too much about what any of them do.
Yeah.
We did talk with a little bit last week about the anti-gerrymandering supposed reform bill. Right now, I mean, to the victors go the spoils. Whatever party's in power after the census divides up the districts, not only for the Congress but also the state legislative districts. And sometimes they look kind of weird, like a big jigsaw puzzle and that sort of thing. So now there's a proposal that we're going to vote on, and some people are telling me that it doesn't look like a lot of improvement.
I don't see a lot of improvement myself. And the one thing, and like I said, I've been in both parties, and I can tell you both parties try to make the districts to their favor. Yeah. But the one thing about it is the voters right now do have a say in who they vote for. I almost think this proposal takes the voters out of the picture, puts it totally with the Secretary of State, and gives whoever's serving as the Secretary of State way too much power to set these boards.
They'll pick 13 people, and it could be me, because I've never been elected to office in the last 6 years.
That's right.
But it could also be Mark Schauer.
Oh, it could. If you've been out of, that's the thing. They say voters, not politicians, but really it's probably going to end up mostly politicians.
Or ex-politicians.
Ex-politicians, yeah. Thank you. At a high cost to the state. So one aspect of this proposal adds some estimates. I'm looking right now, $5.5 million per year to this proposal.
Oh, so these are paid positions?
They're paid positions. They'll be paid, I believe it's somewhere around $40,000 a year, plus expenses, plus a staff for each person. And remember, we only redistrict once every 10 years, so it's going to be a huge cost to the taxpayers in Michigan. But my main concern is how quick we run these proposals through. You get enough signatures, and then immediately they go on the next ballot without anybody having time to really look at them and understand them. Even us who are running for office, we look at these, and they're pretty complex, and I just think we need to slow the process down. We don't need to rush into anything with these proposals. If we can slow the process down a little bit so people can look at them, not just go by the title of the proposal, because that's never really what you're getting. I mean, they come up with some great titles, and then we need to look at the money and where it's coming from. A lot of money from out of state is flowing in for these proposals, and I don't think that's right. And you can't really stop it, but we certainly can give the voters time and our elected officials time to understand the proposals, and we're not doing that now. There's not enough time, and once they're passed, if they pass, it's very hard to come back and change.
Yeah, once they pass, they're law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, they're going to amend, Proposal 1 will be amending the Michigan Constitution. So that's another concern. There's just a lot to them that we need to look at.
Hopefully we can do a little bit of that here on the radio, line up some experts in the next, what do we got, September, October? We got 2 months to figure this out.
Yeah, and that goes quick. Trust me. Time goes very fast. And the voters, too, well, Michigan citizens, many of them are senior citizens, and many other families, they're living, they don't have a lot of extra money. And some are living paycheck to paycheck. And we've got to be real careful when we start adding mandates, start adding proposals that are upping the cost to our families. We need to put our families in a position to be successful, to put more money in their pockets, not start putting in mandates that are going to cost more.
What else is on Dave Morgan's work list?
Well, there's a lot. I think you have the auto insurance reform. That is a huge deal. And that's something that we need to look at very closely. There's absolutely no reason why Michigan taxpayers should be paying the highest insurance rates in the country. That goes back to mandates. We always tend to add more and more mandates requiring families to buy the highest level of coverage. We shouldn't do that.
So you think we should have different levels that people, like a menu people could choose
Yeah,
from?
absolutely. We should be able to decide what to do with our own money. Every family, the family who's earning the money has a lot more knowledge of where they want to spend it than a government official does.
The legislature kind of took a pass on a few things and let it get right to the ballot. One was that recreational marijuana bill. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I think they decided up in Lansing to put it in the voters' hands and let them decide, which that's fine, and I agree with that. But then again, we go back to the timing issue. It's coming very fast. Many people don't even know what it is, and they're going to go in and vote based on a title, and that's not right.
Yeah, and sometimes I worry too about these proposals. Without a lot of time, if there's big money from out of state behind some of these proposals, they're the ones who are going to be able to buy the TV ads and radio ads and print ads, and so they're going to have an advantage there to spin it, whereas there might be opposition to a group, but they're not organized, they don't have a big fat treasury, they're not going to be able to buy television ads. And so all of a sudden, the speed with which these things get pushed on us is going to be a disadvantage. Both sides aren't going to be able to get the facts out there, I think.
Oh, it is. And the marijuana issue, the only concern I have, well, the speed of it, but also how it affects our school districts and school property and the kids. And I mean, there's so many possible adverse effects.
Well, not to mention business. I mean, what if you got a small business, all of a sudden it's legal? In fact, I think the chamber just had a seminar on that yesterday, and it just brings up so many questions.
And this is where, like the advisory board I was talking about, Dave Morgan's not an expert on any of these proposals, I have to tell you, but I'll find people who are. And when we get a group together, and it's not just me voting, it's our community, enriching me with the information that they have, and then I vote on different issues, it's so much more effective, I think, than just one person.
Yep. Well, Dave, enjoyed talking with you this morning, and we'll have you back. We got, like I said, 60 days until the general election. I imagine you'll be out knocking on doors a lot between now and then.
Oh yeah, we're hitting a lot of doors. Today's a huge day, actually, and I do have to congratulate my daughter, Jaden, who made the Lakeview 7th grade volleyball team. So she'll be playing this year.
All right.
And we're very proud of her.
All right. Well, congratulations, Jaden. And Dave Morgan, thanks for being our guest this morning on WBCK.
Thank you.